So we will call to order the Finance Committee meeting of January 10th, 2022. The purpose of the meeting, the main purpose of the meeting tonight is to start to go through and see how meetings with department heads have been going. I did meet with the town administrator, Charlie, Seelig, and Melanie, Dean, the town accountant, earlier today, so I'll provide you an update on where they see things from a budget perspective. We're still really early into the process, but at least give those updates. And then talk about any challenges or concerns that anyone might have. I can give an update on the ARPA funds because the final rule for that came out last week and Charlie brought me up to speed on it. And then make a plan for the next couple of weeks to try and get department heads in to meet with us either virtually or in person. Hopefully we can do the big departments in person. Hoping if we get through a couple more weeks that we'll be beyond everything that's going on right now, the most recent surge. And then if anyone has any other topics that we want to go over, we can have an open forum at the end as well. So why don't we start with how department meetings are going? I guess we can kind of go around the room. Lucia, I know you've been busy. Do you want to start?
Sure. I've only met with the town clerk. That went fairly well. There are a few things that are hard to pinpoint, which being a town clerk, I realize as far as elections will be a very high number this year because of the elections, early voting and vote by mail. So I think you better be prepared to see that. And the assessor, she's on vacation, so I will meet with her. I call her Wednesday morning, so I should be able to meet with her this week. And Kevin, I'm sorry I let you down. I went on COVID watch last week, so yep. It blew it with the chief.
We each had our terms on the sick list last week, so
we did. So whenever you guys are ready, I'm ready.
For the police.
Yeah, so Dan, that'll be on Wednesday at this Wednesday. We'll be meeting with Chief O'Brien.
Okay, at 4:30.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lucia, on the town clerk, so we had, I think we did early voting and everything last year. So is there anything that's different from her perspective that might cause some variability in costs going forward?
Well, yes, everything's in the legislature right now. It's got, in being a town clerk, it's got us all hung up. We can only estimate the costs and we have to estimate for the worst. They're really going for the early voting and they're looking for 1 week on the primary, 2 weeks on the state. And that is a lot of, you have help, that gets very expensive. Doing the vote by mail, you're facing postage on mailing out the ballots, and depending on how high the residents are on voting, you almost definitely need extra help to come in and help process. There's so much involved getting it in the state computer and mailing them out, and so the figures, you're going to see a high figure on that. The best scenario is that it won't cost that much and the money will go back. But there's no way that we can estimate what the state legislature is going to do. And like I said, they haven't even met. It's not even on their agenda yet. And they probably aren't going to know until probably May or June. So that's what I could say about that. All I can say about that. And everything else seems to be in sync. It looked fine. It's just the election costs you're going to see a spike in. And it's every 2 years, too, for the state elections. So this year was a quiet year because it's only the town election there, and the state elections are every 2 years.
Okay. Oh, well, that's challenging, but good to know because we can at least start to incorporate that into our conversations with the town administrator and Melanie. If we have to put a little extra aside. Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I can go. I met with the veterans agent. Everything was right in line there. He is looking for a new passport camera and printer. Of course, we know that's a revenue stream for the town also there. And so I'm not sure, it's not that expensive. Should we be putting that in as an article versus into the budget for 1 year?
How much is it?
It was like $2,000.
I don't think it meets the minimum threshold for capital.
Right.
But we should talk to well, I guess I'll just go into it real quick on the ARPA funds. This final rules came out last week. And basically how it came out was Charlie kind of compared it to like a standard deduction on a tax return that, you get it. The government says you can take your standard deduction, you take it, they don't ask any questions, they don't ask for any verification of anything, and you move on with your deduction. So the ARPA funds are basically, if your town was awarded, city or town was awarded less than $10 million, it's basically that same scenario that go spend the money by the end of 2024. And it's not like with the CARES Act where they had to put all the documentation in for the reimbursement and everything through the county. So I don't know if we could see if maybe the camera could be paid out of those funds. I'm not sure. If not, we could include it in the budget though.
Yep. All right, so that would be a one-time expense. I met with the planning and building department, and they're kind of combining services there around an administrative assistant, et cetera, things that we talked about last year with the pending retirement that occurred up there. They were very much in line with what we want to do, so there were no big surprises there. You will see funds being transferred from one department to the other, so we'll see a larger increase here, but a decrease here. The counter offsets that, so we'll see that. I also had plans to meet with the DPW and John Haynes on Friday, but the lot interfered on that day. And we're actually going to meet this Friday at 9 o'clock down at the headquarters. So we'll be going through that on Friday. I also did reach out to the Capital Committee, as a representative to them, and I haven't heard back about them setting up any meetings and stuff yet. So it may be a little bit too early for them, but so we'll have all that wrapped up hopefully with John on Friday. I don't expect any really big surprises from him. He's usually pretty good with his budget.
And I think I've been getting so many emails. Did he send his draft budget to us already? To you and I, maybe? I think he may have copied me on it. No?
I haven't seen it.
Let me double check what. I've just been taking things and throwing them into a folder until I had a chance to get through them. John Haynes. Yeah, I'll forward it to you. I thought you were on it, Dave.
Okay.
That way you can look at it before. What time was that meeting on Friday?
It's like 9 o'clock. 9.
Okay. Okay. All right, I just sent that to you.
Okay.
Do you know if the planning and building, so when I met with Melanie, they actually hadn't turned their budget into them yet? Did it seem like it was done?
He hasn't said to me either way.
Oh, okay. All right. She'll check with Patrick then to see the status of that. Okay. All right, Kevin.
So as I said earlier, Lucia and I will be meeting with Chief O'Brien on Wednesday. I'm trying to coordinate for Friday with the library director.
Okay.
I was not able to keep that one last week because I was on the sick list. And you and I, Dan, have to meet with Chief Herron whenever that wants to happen.
Yeah, we definitely do need to meet with him. I think he met with, I didn't get to watch the Board of Selectmen's meeting, but he met with the Board of Selectmen, their previous meeting, I think, going over some personnel items and maybe some potential requests for add to staff. So I want to make sure that we can talk with him about that and the justification behind it.
Sure.
Okay. All right, Crystal.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so I met with, well, I got an email from Dale Julius from the Historical Commission, and they're just requesting the same amount as last year, $2,500. So I thought that was good. We'll stick with that. That was a good one. And then the rec I did talk to Peter over there, and I believe he forwarded something over. He didn't send it to me, so I have to email him back. I did meet with Melanie, and we went over her budget, and it looks as though she has a lot of things. So she doesn't have like the things like longevity pay like Phyllis had before, and she's made adjustments on items like computer supplies because she knows they don't need as many. The only thing that we have in her salary is assuming that she passes an exam, there would be an incentive. So it's in there for now as a placeholder, but it's determining whether or not she passes. So
Okay.
she wasn't sure whether or not she should put it in there, but I felt like it would be probably better to see what it's like with it in there versus without. That's what
Yeah.
she's planning on doing anyways.
Does she take that exam this year?
Yes, I believe it's in March. I think that's what she said, March or May. And the last one, I'm waiting to talk to Board of Health. Rob Lyons had sent over, or Sue had sent over a budget from Rob Lyons, but I have to meet with Jean Marie, who is the agent. So
Okay.
I'm hoping to see, or at least talk to her within the next week. So.
Okay. Yeah, and that came up, I guess, Charlie and Melanie had said to Sue Malloy, I think was on vacation last week. And I think Jean Marie wanted to meet with Sue to make before anything got formalized, which makes sense. It's the first in the budget. So, okay. So on mine, so the schools, obviously they're not going to be ready until March. We did ask them to start. And I asked Charlie today, he'd spoken with Liz and John a couple times already, so they are working on it. Just no real detail on that, but that's typical based on what they need to get from the state and everything. The treasurer collector, Marilyn, sent me over her budget today. She and I are going to meet on Thursday to go over that, but nothing stood out in my preliminary review of that. I did ask one question about for Charlie to start to think over that they level funded the salary from when the former treasurer collector was in office. And I just said, with what we've seen from what's going on in the labor market, do you need to maybe budget upward a little bit? And, you know, if you come under, you come under. But the market seems to still be dictating slightly higher salaries for people making job changes. So we asked about that. And then on the selectmen's budget, Charlie is still working on that. So, but that's not anything that is crazy. Joe, I know I've been on his communications with Ryan for the IT budget. They are meeting on Thursday to go over that, and I'm going to try to be part of that meeting as well. And then I think Joe has conservation. What was that, Crystal? You're on mute.
I was going to say, I think he has conservation as well.
Yeah, I think so too. So I don't have an update on that one, but okay, so it's good. I mean, at least Melanie felt comfortable when I met with her and Charlie today that everyone's been working on these budgets. Melanie, just so everyone knows, she is meeting. One of her goals is to try to get this budgeting process in the actual SoftWrite accounting software, so that every department isn't kind of working off these independent Excel worksheets, or each department I feel like kind of has their own way of going about it, and then it gets turned in and somebody has to put it all together. So she had a meeting with the treasurer in Whitman, who uses the same program, to see if what would be the complexities of trying to get it done as we go through the budget process. Worst case scenario, it will be next fiscal year, but she's really going to try hard to get it done this fiscal year. And I think it will be better for us from a reporting perspective than too, so we can actually more efficiently get, reports as we go through not just the budget process, but the year in general. The one variable that Charlie talked about today was, they're doing that the personnel reclassification that was part of the Collins Institute recommendations. So he has the kickoff meeting with department heads and employees on Friday of this week. It may be something that we have to look at as a phased approach for anyone who's in a non-collective bargaining unit, because you probably just can't go in and arbitrarily raise everyone in 1 year. But he's starting off the process. Again, not a lot of information, just the FYI that is starting on Friday. So we can ask him to give another update after that meeting to see how things are going. He's been really busy dealing with COVID in town, and the whether it be just our individual residents or town employees, and the efforts the town's been having to try and get the test kits out to people, and that all coordinated. So his first 6 weeks on the job have been quite busy, which is I don't envy him by any stretch. So if we look at, just want to pull up and confirm. So they have our net. Okay, so we have meetings scheduled for the 24th at 6 o'clock and the 31st at 6 o'clock. Next Monday is a holiday. The 24th, there'll be a Board of Selectmen meeting, but the 31st there won't be. So I'm wondering, based on who we've met with, if we can get a group set up for that Monday, the 24th, maybe some of the smaller budgeted ones, since Charlie won't be able to be in that meeting because he'll be in the selectmen's meeting, and then we can start to tackle the larger departments on the 31st. That'll give everyone enough time, get with police, get with fire, Dave, get with John on the DPW. Sometimes you have to go back and forth, obviously make some tweaks, but wondering if we could get.
We should be able to get building and planning and veterans done. No problem that night. That's the.
Okay. I'm also wondering if we could get the town clerk in, because she's there late on Mondays. I'm trying to think through who's going to be in the building. Library, that's usually a pretty straightforward one. And if we start at 6 o'clock, this is just I'd rather have a 2-hour, 2.5-hour meeting, get as many done that night and out of the way if possible. Maybe we could have Melanie that night too, since hers is all done.
Schedule like a half a dozen or 8 of them that night, and the smaller ones do them either remotely or in person. And
yeah, I mean, the Board of Health you should be able to do by that night too.
Yeah. If we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, so Lucia, after you meet with Paula on Wednesday, can you just let me know if she'd maybe be okay to go on that day too? We'll schedule 7 for that night.
Now, do I get in touch with the town clerk on that, or do you handle that? How does that work?
I think I'll send out a schedule and I'll copy Charlie on it. That way he knows what's going on. I'll copy everyone here too.
Can I make one comment, excuse me, about the town clerk's budget? She did add in $1,000 stipend as records access officer, so I thought I better throw that out.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember that from last year, but
No, she did it on last year's. No.
Is that
the records requests? People
okay.
calling for records requests. I they're extremely high everywhere, police department especially, but we're getting bombarded with them. And that's the law, obviously, and it is work. I
Yeah.
will defend her on that. It is, and you've got time limits, you've got rules to follow, and reporting to do, and so she put that in, and I told her I'd obviously run it by you.
Okay.
Does that take extra hours in the workday to do that?
Not really. No, it doesn't take extra hours during the work. If she's staffed well enough, she can get it done. I think part of the reason she threw it in is because it's such a busy year it's going to be this year, with the elections. So that, what can I say? That's, shall I tell her to pull it?
No,
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think what we should do is she's put it in there, so we should have her just be prepared to talk to it when she comes in front of the committee and explain the rationale behind it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I would say to everyone, I mean, if you do want to reach out, so I'll just go over real quick who we'll plan on for the 24th. So it'll be town clerk, town assessor, veterans agent, planning and building, library, town accountant, and board of health. So if you have any of those, if you just want to reach out to them, and I'll send the email out tomorrow to give everyone a heads up. And then if you want to reach out and just, if you have anything that you want them to specifically to address, definitely give them the heads up on that. And then for the 31st, do we try to get police and fire done that night?
Be able to, police, fire, and DPW probably.
I mean, so I guess if we set a precedent with them and said, limit your presentation to no more than 45 minutes, presentation and questions, that would get us an hour and a half, 2 hours and 15 minutes. We'd still be out of there by 8:15, hopefully. Okay.
Dan, I'll just bring my gavel I used to have for you so you can keep in line. That's all.
There we go. All right, DPW, fire, and police. Then on the 31st. Then we'll have some small ones. We'll have IT. We'll have conservation, selectmen, and town treasurer collector. But all those are pretty basic. There shouldn't be anything out of the ordinary that will require lengthy discussions, I don't think, on any of those. But
has there been any indication about any increased cost for insurance, whether it be the town insurance or healthcare yet?
Charlie and Melanie did not talk to that today, but I'll make sure that we have an update on that.
So
I know a couple of years ago they went out for bid on insurance for the town, and I don't know if that contract was up and what happened or what. So it would be good to know.
Yes, and they and I remember last year, I believe that with the existing provider, that number comes in pretty last minute before we go to town meeting, unfortunately. Okay.
Kevin, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just thinking, potentially you do all of this in 3 nights, with the third night being the last couple that you just mentioned, plus any callbacks if there are questions or other issues that have to be addressed.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I don't want to drag it out any more than that if we don't have to.
Right. I mean, I know last year we had situations where, we were sort of sitting and twiddling our thumbs, for presentations that were shorter than we anticipated, and, just kind of waiting on folks. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I completely agree. I'd rather, like I said, put in 2.5 hours of time, get a bunch done. And then if I'm dedicating a night towards this, just get it all done as opposed to.
Plus, on the 24th, I think those departments that you identified there, they'll most be in town hall. So if somebody does run short, we can get them up early.
Yeah, and that's going to be what I thought I'd say in the email is that, here's our schedule. I might even ask them, like, how long do you think you'll need? And then I can put a schedule together based on that. But like you said, Dave, they're all in the building there. The only one who wouldn't be would be the library. So maybe we can have him go first. Then he'll be done and he can go off on his with his evening. All right, so I'll get a third meeting then set up for. Where's my calendar? My computer is acting very funky tonight. So maybe the 31st, that first Monday. School vacation week is the 21st, I believe.
So maybe that like just second Monday in February rather than the first, just give you a little gap in there.
That's what I was thinking. I'm fine. It's Valentine's Day that day. I'm fine with meeting on that day. I just make sure nobody else has an issue.
I've been married 33 years. I'm not worried.
All right. All right. So we'll book that for the 14th then.
Now we'll send out invitations for this because I don't have them on my calendar, but.
Yeah. So what I'm going to have Rebecca do, just because we don't know what's going on, I'll have them set up virtually so we at least have those meetings set up, and then we'll just make a decision like let's say by the Thursday before the meeting based on where we stand with COVID cases and things like that to see would we rather. I'd like to have the meetings in person for the big departments because I think that's more effective. The marathon night, actually, we'll see how cases are going. We aren't meeting next week because of the holiday, so we do kind of have 2 full weeks. Maybe we'll kind of get beyond this, but I fear there can only be so many days in a row that you have 20,000 plus cases before it starts to run its course. I don't know when you reach that critical mass, but okay, so that is that. That's good. Let me go back over here now. I gave you the update on the ARPA funds, so that's good. Gave you the update on the job reclassification. Any other topics anyone would like to bring up, discuss, concerns? Anything with a timeline you're concerned about or have questions about?
Oh, I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, I do too. I think if we can get all this done by mid-February and then have those last 2 weeks of February to kind of button everything up and not be running around pulling our hair out, that'll be awesome.
And then early March, we'll sit down and talk with the schools.
Yeah, I think that would be the time frame for them, and then and it'll be good. I'd rather have our end done a little bit earlier. That way, with this being Charlie and Melanie's first year in their current roles, if they hit any stumbling blocks or anything like that, it'll give them a little bit more time so they're not running around in a fire drill. So I appreciate everyone's willingness to just kind of bang the meetings out, or the department meetings out over those couple nights.
So what night? What are we looking at right now? The 24th?
So we're looking at, the 24th, we'll do that group of the 7 departments. The 31st, we're going to do fire, police, and DPW. And then the remaining departments on the 14th of February, which would be like conservation, selectmen, town clerk, and I know there's another one.
Collector.
Pardon?
Treasurer collector.
Treasurer collector. Yes, that was it. Thank you. the meetings set up and posted. At least we'll get them set up virtually. We'll make decisions on the Thursday before each of the meetings, if they'll be in person or virtual. And then we'll go from there. And if
Great.
anything comes up, I guess, meetings that are scheduled this week, if they get delayed, just let me know, because that might impact the schedule going forward, since we're going to get that set up. So anything else from anyone?
Stay healthy.
Seeing. I'll
Yes.
make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, Dave motions to adjourn. Do we have a second?
A second?
Second by, was it Lucia or Crystal? Sorry.
Both at the same time.
Okay. I had my head down writing. I couldn't see who was talking. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night.
Hey.
Right.
Good night.
Okay.